guys that you can see my screen and you can hear me up. Hope you can hear me up and you can see my screen. Yes, we can.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Before my introduction, as I told you, the purpose of this webinar is to make you understand how you can learn Informatica BDM, and basically what all things that you will have to understand before going into an interview for Informatica BDM or any ETL or Informatica related interview, how you can actually get that cleared up. So that's the basic basic assumption that we are starting up with, and we will actually be having these kind of scenarios or webinars that will create for you, so that you can actually come over and discuss in and learn a little from here. Okay. So as part of this webinar, I'm first going to introduce myself. My name is Kamal. I'm into Informatica BDM since last 5 years, and in the industry since last 14 plus years. And over these 14 years, I did worked on Informatica Power Center, Informatica BDM, Informatica Data Quality, Informatica MDM, Axon, B2B Data Exchange, and many other Informatica suite tools itself. Apart from that, I did worked on some of other ETL tools and data integration or visualization tools as well. And I have an exposure to big data, wherein I did a lot of learning around big data also in my past few years. And as part of this webinar, we'll actually be covering up this agenda that you can see on my screen. We'll actually be talking about big data basics. We'll go into the details of Informatica BDM. We'll see BDM over Power Center or any other tool, how these tools are actually being defeated by Informatica BDM. That's what we are going to talk about. We'll talk about BDM scope in the terms of jobs, in the terms of salary, in the terms of money, from the consultation point of view. Like if you are just a consultant, how you can earn through Informatica BDM. That's also the scope that you can actually see over this particular webinar. We'll actually be going over the details of how you can learn by yourself Informatica BDM, and we'll just be talking about the curriculum that you should actually plan up. Yes, this is what I'll have to learn. If I learn this, I'll be able to understand what Informatica BDM is. I'll actually be sharing up that agenda with you so that you'll be able to see what all things you should learn to actually start with Informatica BDM. And we'll see the content on my screen, the proprietary content that is well organized to understand Informatica BDM. We'll actually be looking into the tool, Informatica BDM tool, basically to understand how exactly these two worlds are interacting together. These two world means this ETL world is interacting with big data. And apart from that, we'll actually share the recording or not of this, webinar with each and every one of you if you want. And that's what exactly we are going to do. Okay. So let's start with the agenda. I'll show you up on my screen again. Okay. So we are going to talk about big data first. In big data, as I was explaining you, we actually believe like anything which is actually big in volume, big in velocity. By big in velocity means if the speed of getting some data is actually very fast, then that particular data set, and the data set which is very huge that your RDBMS will not be able to handle, or the data which is in the form of pictures or videos, GIFs, or n number of multimedia or other kind of data sets which are not structured, are you can say they are unstructured or semi-structured. So that data is something that we want to process. How that data can be processed, that is what we are going to talk about as part of this big data. Okay. So in big data, it is a term to denote large data sets that can be processed by big data application but can't be processed by traditional RDBMS applications. Now, it involves the tools and techniques or frameworks like Hadoop, but yes, let's talk about an example. What do I mean by high volume? High volume, I can explain you, like if you see a decade back, you were working on Oracle or some other tool, wherein you were just writing up the queries and waiting actually to get your billions of record fetched up and shown on screen. Even now, if you'll try, it takes a lot of time. Sometimes 30 minutes, 45 minutes, you are waiting for the data, 500 columns, 1 billion rows, you are trying to access, it's taking too much, and you are just sitting and waiting for your data to come up. Try to look at the SQL server, you might be able to see that how actually it responds. It actually keep on executing, and then it show up the data, right? That's what happens. Now but you have a lot of data. Now you guys might have a question how that load of data came up. What exactly the data we are getting, and that is getting so huge. So now think about it, like in previous years we were actually only talking about transactional data. We were understanding our sales. As an organization, I was interested in looking at the sales of my business. I was interested in looking at just the transactions. I was interested in actually looking at just the money part of it. Now, to understand my business better, to understand my leads better, to understand how I can convert them up, it's very important for me to understand their emotions, their interest, their actually even their GPS location. That's what Google Map is doing. They are trying to understand your the behavior of where you are going, what you are doing, so that they can understand how they can help business grow that way around, like by putting up ads at that place if required. So that's what the intention of many businesses, to understand your emotions, your behavior, and basically to actually convert the people across the globe to understand their emotions, so that they can market it properly. So that is the data that is actually getting huge day by day. They are trying to take billions of people's data and processing them up. It was very difficult with RDBMS because RDBMS even can't query up that data. You can say just a few billion data. If we try to actually, query up that, it is taking up so many hours. We can't go with RDBMS to prepare such kind of transformation, which can help us understand how our business will be able to pick up through these behaviors or interest or leads data. So it's important to understand, like big data as an ecosystem is very huge. You might have heard a decade back that there is one application that came in Hadoop, and that is actually taking up a lot of space. The reason for that was because prior to that there were none of the tools that can actually process that data up, can do a visualization on top of it. You can't query that data up. So what they did is just putting the file system that is distributed in nature, and then on top of that they prepared certain projects that can help you actually look at those particular data set to understand, right? So you can see here that volume actually has grown a lot. Now the velocity, as I even told you, like Google Map, they are trying to actually assess your data every single second. So if let's say billions of people are going here and there, Google Map know that, right? They know where are you going. That's how they actually push notification that you are going to this place. Please give us stars or the rating for that particular place, so that we'll be able to understand how this particular place is doing, so as to understand the businesses across the globe. Okay, so that's what they are doing. And when they are doing that, think of it like, would it be possible to do that through RDBMS? Would it be easy for us to insert billions of record in a single second in RDBMS? Obvious no, right? Now the third thing is, think about the variety of the data. Like every single day a lot of people are pushing their YouTube like videos on the YouTube, so that others can see that, right? Many other organizations are even pushing it. Many other, even you can say channels, digital channels, they are actually putting up their lot of videos. So think about it, like when you search for some of the things, when you, for example, you search for let's say car, but even if in the description, in the name, there is no car like thing that is being written, then also it can bring that up even without actually looking at the tags. It it is actually a kind of processing that Google or YouTube has on top of their, on top of their system, to understand what exactly that data belong to. So they are actually building a keyword ecosystem on top of that, right? So that's what I was talking about. Social media is an example of, let's say, the volume and velocity boss. Sensor data is an example of velocity, where velocity is going higher. And in stock exchange, obviously the velocity is higher. Like every single second, we are getting the updates into the, you can say, stocks prices, and that should be actually should be updated, so that the investors can actually see that before investing anything. And relational data itself is not able to handle that particular volume of the data, and that's the reason big data came into existence. Now, the next thing that we'll talk about, obviously, we got to know, yes, previous decade, we got some Hadoop name thing, and that is what we want to implement. Now, if we are implementing that, do you think it is easy to implement that? No, it's very difficult. People or organization has spent, millions of dollars to prepare the team that can actually work for them to process that big data, to process that data that can actually bring emotions, that can bring strategies that will be able to put in to actually make our business reach at peak. So to do that, obviously they need some big data application, because RDBMS is not working out. Proprietary tools or even the databases are not working out. The one that was actually given up for free by Apache Hadoop is actually working for us. And yes, we need a people to actually do that. Because see, even what happened in a previous decade, sorry to say that, but you might have seen that, right? People were actually learning Java. Like even the people who were from data integration background, ETL background, they were actually taking up the courses in Java or Python. Why? Because they want to understand how to write a big data application, how I can actually process that data up through data application. And they were trying to learn that. And the people who were into big in this Java technologies or scripting technology, they were actually pushing up their pushing up their technologies further into databases. They were trying to learn database, because everyone in the last decade was making themselves up as you can say full stack developer. And that actually happened the last few years. But yes, nowadays this Informatica BDM, they come up with certain technology then that can help you build up the mappings and execute it up on any of the execution engine you want. Okay, so let me talk about first, like why I'm saying too many decisions to begin with. The reason for that is, see, when you start up with any of the big data project, the first thing that you actually look at is, the data. What exactly the data is. I like whatever the data that you want to process. Is it ERP data, or is it relational data, or legacy data? What exactly that data is? That is first, first foremost responsibility of an organization or the developer to start with, to understand what the data is. And on the basis of that use case that you have with that data, you can decide which distribution in Hadoop you'll go for. By distribution, we mean simply the organizations that are providing us the different flavor of Hadoop, binded it in a different way, how exactly we can actually pick up. So Hortonworks, Cloudera, Mapr, which particular distribution I'll pick up. That is what I can understand from here. And then we'll have to understand, like, are we going on cloud, or are we going on prem, on local? If we are actually doing anything on prem, I mean by on prem, local, like on my own infrastructure that I have placed in my office. So if I'm using that, then HDFS is something I'll use as storage layer. But if I'm using AWS cloud for my storage, then I am going to use S3. And if it is Azure, I am going to use Azure Blob. And in the case if my data is something that I want to actually get secured, then the security is very important. And obviously in that case, I'll have to decide the security mechanism that I should use, and then the execution engine on the basis of my use case. Like if I have calculations, lot of calculations, then I'll go for Spark. If I have a lot of data that actually will work good on MapReduce, I'll go for MapReduce. If I want to use some language that is high level language, then I'll go for Pig. In the data formats, I'll pick up the data format that is best for me, because in downstreams most of the times the tools that they are using, these downstream people, they are interested in different kind of data. So I'll have to decide what data I can actually provide. So and apart from that, you'll have to actually compress that so that it should eat less space. And then obviously the NoSQL databases through which I can write the different query without using SQL also. So all that decisions you'll have to take, and any single decision if will go wrong, it is going to ruin up whole of your big data application. Now you might be thinking, Kamal, that's okay, you are saying so, but what is in for us? Informatica BDM. Informatica BDM is in for you. You'll have to decide as you go. You need not to actually plan it up this way. You need not to build whole ecosystem yourself, because 90% of the people or organizations have failed last decade building up their applications. So don't do that. Instead, try to use some proprietary tools like Informatica BDM that can actually do a lot of things for you, instead of you being doing the things by writing the scripts, spending a lot of resources, spending a lot of money, and then building up those applications. So even if you have a small business, I'm talking about you, not the organization. Even if you have a small business, if you want to understand the business emotions, you want to understand the customers, customers interest, their stress success stories, what exactly they're looking for, because if you'll sell them what they want, then only you will be able to earn whatever you want, right? So if you want that, then obviously you should actually be good in preparing some application that should actually uh, give you the correct results, that should actually give you the results around what the people will like or what the people will not like, right? So if you want to actually go into that kind of discussion, Informatica BDM is for you, because you don't know how to write Spark Scala code, you don't know the Java code that you can write, you know data integration, you know from the past how you can actually make Informatica Power Center mapping. That exposure you want to use now, and you want to actually run all the things, the code that you should have prepared on Spark, Blaze, or Hive. If you want to do that, it's very easy that you can do through big data world with Informatica BDM, right? So that is what you can do here with Informatica BDM. You can decide as you go, build a mapping once, put it on any execution engine wherever you want it to run, select the data formats on your tool itself, select the data compression that you want, select the storage layer, select the data that you are connecting to. Basically through the connections, through configurations, you can select the security mechanisms, distributions, execution engine, and then you can execute that mapping, and your mapping will actually give you the result and will let you know directly the leads. Yeah, these are your leads. Go on, get them, get the business. If you can do that, won't it be good for you? That's what Informatica BDM is doing for you. A lot of data that you are not thinking of process in early days, it can process now. It can do a lot of business for you. For big organization, think of it, what it can do. That's the reason most of the organization who were earlier working on Informatica Power Center, they are now moving on to Informatica BDM, and they want actually to process their data that they want to process, but they don't have the power to do that, When they were doing that since last 1 decade through big data applications, it was failing. And you can even read an article over Google or any particular space to understand it was like from last few years it was just you know just the failures that were happening. Only 5 to 10 projects, 5 to 10% projects, I mean to say, were successful. You can go and read it out. There are a lot of articles for that. But yes, Informatica BDM, if you are going to implement it, obviously, because it is actually the proprietary tool, it is actually holding up a lot of code behind it, a lot of intelligence behind it, and over and above that, it has a lot of R&D that is already being done on top of Informatica BDM. It will be far more easier for you to actually run the mappings on top of that. Let's not do a lot of marketing on Informatica BDM. Let's actually proceed further. Okay, what is BDM? A solution to leverage high-speed processing capability. It is actually enabling the organization to process large and fast-changing data. It can process the data whose volume is greater than 10 TB. We know, like even till petabytes or teradata can help us. But after that, obviously, you need something that can process your data. So BDM is the one that can help you out in processing that data. So you can process the fast changing data, you can extract the data from varied sources. So that is what you can do through Informatica BDM. Okay, this is a feature list. Let's not go into this because it is basically telling you that you have a visual design environment, universal data access, data integration on Hadoop and Spark, intelligent data parsing. We'll talk about this in later, in the later discussions that we have. But yes, we did discuss about big data basics. We did discussed about BDM. Why BDM over Power Center or any other ETL tool? Then the BDM scope is something that we'll have to discuss now. So if I'll tell you about the BDM scope, it's huge. Go over, see it over the LinkedIn, see it over the clicks if you are in US. If you are in any other country, look at your job portals, you'll be able to see that you have a lot of jobs coming for Informatica BDM migration from Informatica Power Center. People are offloading their data warehouses from Informatica Power Center. If you are working on Informatica Power Center, let me tell you, in another 5 to 10 years, you are going to be coming on either Informatica BDM or you'll have to choose some other, some other tool or technique, or you can say coding mechanism to be in the market. Okay, so that's what, because people want to actually come over BDM, because BDM is not only covering up big data stuff, it is actually giving you a native execution engine that, okay, let me show you. You have a native execution engine as well. Okay, engines. Okay, so you can see you have native, you can have Blaze, Hive, and Spark that you can use to actually process up your data. Now, a native engine work as same as your Informatica Power Center. So in future, I'm not saying that, but yes, as part of Informatica strategy, obviously will be at the situation wherein Informatica Power Center will be useless and Informatica BDM will be used by hundreds or thousands, or you can say even lakhs of their client who are now using Informatica Power Center. So they will be on Informatica BDM in very near future. And the reason for that is very simple. They already have in Informatica BDM the same capability that Power Center has. And apart from that, you have the capability to process the big data sources. Okay, so it's very easy here to actually select the engines. Now, let me show you if you want. Uh, so if you have to select execution engine, it is a piece of cake here. You will have to just click on execution engine and execute your mapping. And it is going to actually execute your mapping on top of BDM, basically on top of the engine that you want it to run on. For example, if you want to run it on Spark, so see how does it look like if you want to see execution plan. So behind the scene, it will create a code, simply a Spark code, Scala code that is actually executing behind the scene on the cluster. Okay, so that is what it is doing. So basically, this scope of BDM, if I'll talk in the terms of money, in the terms of job, is going to be huge. You can do a kind of read over the articles. You'll get to know how big data is eating up the market of ETL, even even far more with more capabilities. So if you'll even compare, Power Center was not taking up that market which even BDM has started taking up, and people are now offloading their data warehouses from Power Center and moving to Informatica BDM. Now you might say, how man, how exactly you can say that? See itself in the curriculum itself, in the curriculum that Informatica published their for their certification, they are saying that data warehouse offloading. Why, man? Simple reason, because they want actually you to come from Informatica Power Center to Informatica BDM. That's what data warehouse offloading is. That's what they are talking about, right? So this is the curriculum that we have. The big data basics, you'll have to learn if you want to understand Informatica BDM. Then start with data warehouse, basically data warehouse offloading. Then you'll have to learn BDM architecture. Then basically you should understand mapping creation and polyglot computing. Then you should understand monitoring and troubleshooting capabilities of Informatica BDM, how you can do that, what kind of mechanism that you have. And obviously don't get it wrong, BDM is not the second Power Center. It can actually do 10 or 15% of activities as Power Center, but not everything likewise. Simply, updates doesn't work here. Update strategies doesn't work here because big data is based on application. Updates, delete are not going to work here. So most of the transformation that you are using in Informatica Power Center are restricted here, and you'll have to use a lot of different you can say ifs and buts or workarounds to actually make your Informatica VDM work. I'll not take too much time, just show you, just showing you, just showing you up like how exactly this uh, restricted or list look like restricted, not restricted, what all transformations in Informatica BDM in different engines. Okay, okay, here it is. So this is a very small list. Some of this transformation are not supported in one another engine, some other are restricted, some other are supported. So that's what the list is. Now, apart from this, you got to know what all transformations are supported, not supported, and you got to know, yes, there is a workaround that we need to do. So I mean to say, it's not as simple as using Informatica Power Center when you are, working on Informatica BDM. So even Informatica BDM can do a work of IDQ for you. It can work like a ETL tool. A lot of other things are available in BDM itself. Now, as we have already seen up, the content curriculum, yes, monitoring and troubleshooting, mapping challenges, IDQ stuff, complex files, how to deal with them, NoSQL databases, developer fundamentals, talking about how to view data, how to use physical data objects, how exactly the parameters, parameter file and parameter sets work here, and workflows and applications, what are they, and how does it work? Because there is a no concept of session here. That's why I'm saying it is not like Power Center. It is actually having the mapping as an executable. You can directly execute the mapping. That's wow in Informatica BDM. You can directly execute the mapping. We'll talk about more things, but let me show you up the tool. Just a second. Let me share my screen and show you up the tool. So that will be, it will be far more easier for you guys to understand, Informatica BDM better. We'll be ending up in kind of 15 minutes, but yes, Till then, let me show you up the tool. So after kind of 10 minutes, I'll actually give up space for you guys to actually ask the questions that you have, and we'll actually be scheduling this kind of webinars later on as well. But yes, to make you enable, I want actually to show you the tool at least so that you feel better about it. Okay, let me share my screen back again. I'm just logging in through my tool. Let me know once you guys can see it. Uh, just a second. Just a second. Okay. Okay. So let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes, I am able to see.
Perfect. Perfect. Just a second, man. Just a second. I'm taking one more second from you guys. I think I'll have to do a Troy to actually get it started soon, because see, one more thing, it is a cluster, it is a very big cluster that you'll have to start up with. Sometimes it takes time to actually get up. Sometime you'll have to actually need a help of BDM administrator also to actually start your services, if you are in office. But yes, if you are working on standalone this BDM stuff, then it works pretty good. um, no issues, basically. For me, I'm just actually starting it up late. It actually started a little late, that's why it's taking a time. Just a second, should be up soon. I want to show you guys a basic practical exercise. It's taking few seconds. In between, if you guys have any questions, let me actually take the questions first, and then we'll come on to basically the tool.
Yeah. Much
Kapil, this is
experience.
Ashish.
Can
I
I
Go
have
go?
one by one.
Yeah,
so Ashish,
let me
this
complete.
question is
So,
really helpful. Hi, I have a question here is like you said, in terms of self-learning, is there any sandbox available or virtual VM available because it's a proprietary tool so that
So see, Informatica,
anyone,
Informatica from last few years is not giving any such tool. Even a BYOL is also not possible. Even on Azure and AWS, they were trying to actually give it previously, but when they saw the market, they got to know people are crazy spending $100,000 for these tools. They actually stopped giving it us, for the people to learn for free. So now, if you'll go to their website, they are not providing it. Those links are now washed up, and they are not available now. Yeah, it was available you can say, if few years back, yes, they were giving it up, but now no, it's not
so there is no
available.
alternative to this?
Can you come again?
There is no alternative to this. There's no free trial versions, nothing available.
Free trials are not available. Some of the organizations are actually giving up the proprietary tool through either, you can say, by sharing the remote access, or there are a few other methods that actually we can talk about.
Okay, can you give an insight on this, please? I mean, this will be really helpful.
Sure, I'll give you understanding on this. Give me few seconds.
Yep.
Okay, so the tool is up and ready. We will just after a few minutes we'll actually be talking about that. Okay,
Okay.
let me first give you a kind of exposure to the tool. Okay, perfect. Now let me. Okay, now we'll start from very basics of big data. So I'll not be taking too much time. Every single exercise will be done in kind of 3-4 minutes. Like looking at the tables, creating the tables, looking at HDFS files, then looking into basically Informatica BDM as a tool, then creating some mapping. Will not create it because if we'll create it, it is going to take too much time. Just show you up some of the things, how exactly the repositories can be connected, how it looks like, those things, okay, to actually make it a little fast now. Okay, so let me share my screen back again. Okay, so if you'll see on my screen, this is the Informatica BDM administrator that I have, and this is how it looks like. So you guys can see my screen, right?
Yes,
Anyone of
yes.
you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have the yarn applications that I can show you up. Okay, this is the yarn application. Anything I'll run here, even in my hive, even in my you can say Informatica BDM, I'll be able to see that here itself in my yarn applications. And in the Embari, I'll be able to see my this Hadoop management activities, like what exactly is running on my Hadoop, like what all projects are running, how they are running, what exactly is the dashboard looks like. That is what you can see on this Embari. You can actually look at the heat maps. You can actually look at a lot of other hosts that is being connected here. And apart from that, this is an administrator. You can bring up the connections or other things here. And basically, I will show you up the applications. Like whenever I'm running any query, you will be able to see the applications being running here. Let me show you that. uh, while open a terminal. Okay, here. Okay, so let me show you Hive. Let me show you in another tab, HDFS, Hadoop fs minus ls. Very simple commands Hadoop has. Let's say if I want to see what is in there in my file system, it will show me. Okay, what all you can say directories are, you know, first level directories that I have. So let me start with apps. Okay, Hive takes time to actually get heated up. In meantime, let me actually reach to some place where we have files. So we have now show databases. Okay, now you have here show tables. Now select start from tables. So this is very basic tables that I have in this particular database. I'm showing you let's say tables underscore source. If I want to see what is actually there in my table, like what exactly is the path of the file where my data is placed for this particular, you can say, um, particular tables underscore source. Simple, it is here in apps hive warehouse table source. Now let me write it here, hive warehouse house under tables underscore source. Perfect. Now I will be able to see the file. Now I'll just see what is in there. Okay, so see the data which was there in my, okay, let me do it again because it is showing some you know extra character here. So 1 2 3 4 5 7, that's what there in my table itself, and my table was pointing to this file. That's why I was able to see that. That was one of the exercise we saw how Hive and HDFS are interacting. Very small, simple, sweet exercise to make you learn this. Now let me show you how basically I'm connecting to Informatica BDM as a tool. Right. Let's come on to tool. So this is the tool. Through Informatica developer itself, we can access it. Let's now. Oh, what happened? Just a second. I'll take 1 second and show you up again. Okay. Mm, mhm. So basically, this is how exactly you can connect to it, and like you can actually work around big data in Hive or HDFS. And apart from that, basically I'll have to restart my services. It's actually taking time to restart the services. In meantime, if you have any questions, you can ask. Let me take the questions one by one. Uh, okay. Any questions? Anyone? Please ask.
Uh, yeah, Kamal, same question. You were telling about, how we could, which organizations are sharing the environment, if I have
So
to do any
there are
hands-on.
yes, there is one one organization, Informatica BDM. They are actually into the trainings, Informatica BDM online. So one of them is this, and apart from that, there are few other. Like I'll ask even one of our admin guy to actually share up if you need that. I'll actually ask them to share the details of the organizations who share it. Okay,
Yeah, please. Thank you.
okay.
Yeah, so
Informatica
I
Any other
have a
BDM
question?
question.
is an organization.
Yeah, please.
So I'm working on data quality tool. So is it possible
Mhm.
for me to use that BDM services also? Means I have never tried.
No,
I'm no, okay.
BDM is totally a separate tool because see, you need a cluster. You need a Hadoop cluster to
Okay,
actually be
okay,
available,
got it.
so
Yeah.
that you can
No, no, no. But
actually
actually,
have.
in
Yeah.
my project, actually, data quality is integrated with the Hive. I exactly don't
Hmm.
know means what the structure is. I started working on it 2 months back, so I will try actually because they have few things integrated on Hive also. So might be they are using. I'm
That
not sure. But
that still be
as you
possible because.
mentioned, like
Mhm. Mhm.
okay,
Carry on, carry
yeah,
on,
go ahead.
carry on, carry on,
No, no, no,
carry on.
you go.
I'm first here.
So you mentioned now like using data quality also we can access BDM. That's why I asked this question.
Mhm. Using BDM, we can access data quality also. That's what I was mentioning.
Okay, 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 fine. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Thanks.
So basically, if I'll tell you, there is a cluster that is needed. On top of that, obviously, if you are able to connect through Hive in your data quality tool, that doesn't mean you are able to connect to the cluster. And moreover, you can actually run anything that basically it's not about connecting to that particular, you can say, data source. It is about executing on top of that. You need the power of execution, not the storage, not the connection. You are not just interested in making the connection or storing the data into it. It's about using the Spark, Hive, or you can say this uh, Blaze capability to execute your mappings up, because the data processing is something that needs more memory or more basically more powerful engine that can
Yeah, yeah, okay.
more more powerful system that in behind the mapping execute what execute your mapping center and get your code right. So that's the like exactly what exactly is needed. Medium is a quality separate quality. Okay.
Yeah,
Any other or you move in? Okay, if no other questions, I'm going to show you up the tool connecting. Just give me 2 minutes. Actually, it's a big cluster. Sometimes we get the hiccups, but yes, it's very easy to get fixed if you know that. You know that. Okay. Okay. Yes, if you want to learn it, there is by self learning. What I mean, like even you can go on to Informatica site over the marketplace. You'll be able to see few of the articles, few of the questions, just like a Stack Overflow is for most of the coders. Here, you can actually go to Informatica forums to learn what kind of the issues that you get and what are the possible fixes for that. For the solutions also, they have actually mentioned up. These are the solutions. These are the two, three solutions that you can apply if you are getting this kind of error. So there are a lot of different kind of errors will come in because you are trying to connect two different worlds. By two different world, what I mean is like you are trying to connect the big data with ETL. So obviously it is going to actually throw up the errors most of the times, but it is very easy to fix it up if you know how to actually deal with them. But yes, it is not as that of Power Center, data quality, or MDM because it's actually connecting to cluster behind the scene. It is not directly working on native execution mode. Native means like the one which you are using in Power Center. It is native is just a data integration service, the simple integration service that Informatica created a way back when they started in even in 2005. That same native service they had. So that is the native service which is even available in BDM. But apart from that, there are many other possibilities that you can use, and in future you can actually use the other execution engine they'll add up. For now, there are three. One is Hive, another is Blaze, another is Spark. But the way of functioning is same. Obviously, the different transformations were behave differently over different execution engines. The way of understanding the errors, way of learning what exactly is going wrong would be again different in different execution engines. Because see, if you want to see the logs of your Spark or Hive job that got failed, you'll have to just see at the Yarn application, so that you'll be able to understand what happened wrong. But in the case of Blaze, you'll have to go into the Blaze job monitor to see that. And for actually starting up with, if it has any issue that happened because of Informatica, then you'll have to go into the Informatica monitoring tool to identify what has gone wrong there. So for different kind of logs, different kind of issues, you'll have to go on into different tools that we have. So there are a lot of tools available to understand what happened wrong. Now, if you have seen Ambari on my screen, you might have seen there is a lot of services that were running, and there were a lot of dashboard health related charts that were coming up, isn't it? Those were related to how your cluster is behaving right now. Okay. So let me share my screen and show you up at least, uh, you know, this tool connected. Okay, see the screen. I'm connecting to the repository and getting you through, a kind of exploration exercise to see how this tool works. But before that, I would like to see if my both the services are started. Yes, it's taking some time. Let it take. But yes, you can connect at least. You can see what is in there because you have connected to the repository, what all files that you have, what are logical data objects that you have, and apart from that, the transformations, mapping. You want to see how your mapping is looking like. Click on it. It will be open for you. You can see the weblog parsing. Now, weblog parsing is what it is. So anybody, if it is coming to our web, if I want to see that logs, it would be easy for me to see that because I'm the owner of that website. But if I want to parse that to identify like from where they came up, what kind of the user ID they logged in through in their Gmail IDs or on Yahoo. It would be far more easier to understand if I should have applied a lot of. I'm telling you, there are a lot of things that you can do all across to identify the people who are coming to you, who are coming to your websites, who are actually interested in your products, and then you can actually sell them up what they need instead of selling them up what they don't need. Try to understand, from your organization perspective, like they want to sell up something which exactly should be bought by the person whoever wants it. For example, if I'm working for some marketing firm, or you can say some firm that is actually into the supermarkets, I should know what people will like in a supermarket for, let's say, in the terms of fruits or other things. It would be far more easier for me to actually sell that up. So this is actually the tool. This is how I am getting connected to it. And if you guys have any question, please ask. I'm just actually here to hear your questions and help you out with those. I'm done with the webinar, at least for today.
So, Kamal, when is the next session?
Every weekend we'll actually have the webinars, uh, and our admin, like somebody from our admin team, will be able to help you out with the next sessions that we'll be having. So you can actually reach out to Mehak or you can say Aksh. There are two people who will actually be getting in touch with you if you have any questions about the webinars, about whatever the questions related to. If you have any question related to the technology and the way you should learn it, I'll be happy to help. But yes, if any question related to the schedules, about the tools, about any other thing, that can be directed to Aksh or Mehak from our team.
Do we have any contact details for these guys?
Yes, yes, obviously.
Where can we find them?
So if I'll, okay, Aksh, if you are on call, okay, I'll actually ask them to actually send you out. Aksh is on the call. Aksh, can you hear me? Okay, Aksh will be able to share further more details. Any questions that you have, he'll be able to answer.
Kamal, this tool UI is looking like the same as the like IDQ stuff. So for the IDQ users, it will be comfortable comparing to the power center.
Can you come again, because your voice was too low. So
Yeah.
regarding yeah.
Yeah, regarding BDM, so
Mhm.
instead of it is a run, I'm talking only about the UI perspective, so how to use it. Okay, so it is similar to the IDQ. So my question is like comparing to the power center users, IDQ users can easily adapt with the UI, right?
Okay, see, this Informatica Bdm, again, I am coming on to that. Like Informatica Bdm itself is a different tool. With IDQ, it is actually not working as directly as you may think, because it is actually a cluster that is built on top of it. You have a Hortonworks Hadoop cluster that is actually having a Spark, Blaze, or Hive on top of it, through which you'll be able to execute the code that you want to actually execute. Okay.
Okay.
I have pushed the Aksh number on the chat. If you want to talk about anything related to software, or the next schedule or course related information, or anything that you actually need, you can actually further talk to Aksh or Mehak from our team. And you can just note down his number. This is the number that I have shared. Okay. Any question related to technology? I want to hear from you guys, about how this tool is working, how exactly, but by the way, by tool I mean like how Informatica BDM is working, architecture, go into the details of those. It's these all things are something that you can find out anywhere. Try to ask something that will be more technical. Yes, there are. Again, you can actually, talk to this guy. He'll be able to further help you with this his name is Aksh. Okay guys, if no such questions, let me actually drop here. Any questions if you have, you can actually connect to these guys and they can actually help you. Talk to me, we'll actually be able to discuss any questions that you have. How do we practice? Again, the tool is what you can see on my screen. There is, if there is no sandbox, that doesn't mean like it's not available. It's available. There are few organizations which are either providing the remote access, or some of them are even given it for free, but yes, that details like about free with their trainings, I mean to say, not free with their trainings. So which organizations are these? This guy can actually tell you. No, trial version is not there. 30 days trial version is no more available now. How Informatica BDM is different from Informatica Power Center in the term of execution. Pavan, so Informatica BDM is different from Informatica Power Center. As I told you, Power Center was having only native execution engine. It was only for the RDBMS stuff. If you want to execute any mapping that has the data being pulled from RDBMS, it was the Power Center which was able to actually process that structured data up. Now you have unstructured data. You want to actually stream the data. You want to just make sure that you are dealing with huge volume of the data, or the velocity of the data is high. In that case, how you'll get that the execution of mapping will get done. That's the answer of BDM. Like BDM will be able to do that, Power Center won't be. You can't actually execute basically on top of Spark through Power Center. You can't execute any of your data sets on top of Blaze or on top of Hive through Power Center. That's the answer. Any other question? Please keep typing the questions in the chat. I want to give the answers to most of your questions. When you say mapping execution, is it the execution of mapping, or it will be in terms of workflow only? So here there is no concept of executing through session. It is just like you can execute the mapping directly. And when I'm executing, that means like I'm executing through, you can say, just through Informatica BDM, via like selection I have shown. Like maybe you have joined late. I'll show you again on the screen. Just in a second, it will be shared and we'll be able to show you up. This is how you can execution. So this is how in execution you can specify. Okay, it's taking engine. You can specify the engine on which you want to run the mapping on. So when you are specifying that, I'm not running the mappings now, so I'm showing it up on this lab guide exercise only. Execution engine. Okay, it's back. Here it is. See, this is how you can select Pawan. Okay, any other question anyone has, please ask, or let me. Okay, so now there are multiple other questions that came up. Is the BDM management also done on the standard admin console, or does it have a separate UI? It is a standard admin console that we had in Informatica Power Center. The similar kind of admin console is here also. It is not a separate UI. How to convert existing Power Center mappings into BDM? Yes, there is a way. Yes, we have the live project in practice. We'll be able to share that. Power Center mapping into BDM, there is a separate module that we'll talk about altogether. But yes, there is a InfraCMD command that you can actually use to do that. Or apart from that, BDM itself has a capability to actually connect to connect to Power Center and pull up all the mappings. But yes, when you pull up, after that you'll have to do a lot of workarounds, so it's not that easy. We'll have to talk a lot about it. When you use different engines like Spark, Hive, I believe scripting with those is needed. No, scripting is not needed. You need not to script. Informatica BDM itself is a intelligent system which has built-in functionalities which can help you out, get your get your get your mapping executed on the right code. Basically, mapping gets converted into the code. For example, if you are executing your mapping, Informatica BDM mapping over Spark, it is going to be executed on top of Spark via Scala code that will get prepared through that mapping. So that mapping gets converted into the Scala code. You need not to do anything. Okay, not an issue. So thank you all of you. It was very nice webinar. I'll try to have a lot more in the future, and we'll meet again. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And one more thing, if any one of you have any question, ask this guy. He'll be able to connect you with me so that your questions will be answered. And answering the question is just free. So don't hesitate. Thank you. Bye bye.